An account has appeared on X, formerly known as Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I can't ever not calling it Twitter. I don't know why you changed the name. It's called ICC Leaks. The account was only created this month, and immediately it started leaking information about the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan about allegations of sexual harassment. So the first post actually appears on October 17th with some generic information about allegations trying to frame him as a powerful man abusing his power. Then more information is released in the subsequent days. On October 19th, the Daily Mail then writes an article on the same issue, but their source is not X. It is a report from officials, a body called the Independent Oversight Mechanism, the IOM, which probes misconduct allegations at the court. And the alleged victim was quizzed, and that's what the Daily Mail say, but the person decided not to make a formal complaint. That's what was officially stated. But as the report wasn't actually released until October 19th, the account that started tweeting days before, it does seem likely that the user does actually have access to files that were actually hacked. So there are many bad actors who would benefit from hacking information from the ICC. But as we've previously discussed, The Guardian did reveal in an investigation in May this year titled Spying, Hacking and Intimidation, Israel's 9-year war on the ICC Exposed, which revealed that the country deployed its intelligence agencies to surveil, hack, pressure, smear and allegedly threaten senior ICC staff in an effort to derail the court's inquiries. So, obviously, at this point, we can only speculate that it could be Israel, because I want to be very clear, there is no actual proof that, as it stands, that this specific leak on the ICC Leaks account on Twitter is in fact Israel. But one thing that did weirdly stand out to me is that nobody else has reported on this at all. This is an exclusive from Turn Left, is that the account ICC Leaks, which only has around 200 followers, by the way, a tiny account, somehow gained very little traction on its first post. But on its second post, Elon Musk, of all people, managed to find it and boost the post. I just don't get it. A tiny, tiny little account. How did he find it? How did he boost it? It doesn't really make any sense to me, but I am not into conspiracies. I have nothing further to say on this, but it's very odd how such a small, tiny account managed to get the attention of Elon Musk, of all people, which helped get this story into the mainstream. So, obviously, we know that Karim Khan is seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and was also seeking arrest warrants for the Hamas leaders too, but they have now all been killed. So, in the last few days, we have had multiple right-wing and pro-Israel outlets screaming about this with all of their might. We had the Wall Street Journal editorial opinion smearing him as anti-Israel and noted the left domination of international legal circles, and even suggested that Khan may have attempted to divert the attention of his sexual harassment allegations made against him a few weeks earlier by bringing charges against Israeli leaders, which is wild. We had Senator Lindsey Graham demand that the ICC reveal details of the probe, and then we had Ynet, an Israeli media outlet, declaring that the warrants for Israeli leaders is a smokescreen for the ICC prosecutor's sex scandal. Now, AP News, who are, somewhat respectable, I think they do good reporting, have actually interviewed sources at the ICC. What we know at this point is that there was an investigation. It lasted 5 days, and the alleged victim did not want to pursue a formal complaint. And her allegations, according to those sources at the ICC, include some horrific behavior, potentially from Karim Khan, including physical sexual assault. I will never, ever downplay alleged victims' experiences. And even under these circumstances, I will not speculate whether this is all made up as a smear campaign by Israeli intelligence to discredit the ICC and Karim Khan. But two things can be true at the same time. It could be true that Karim Khan is guilty and has behaved inappropriately and should be investigated, but it can also be true that an actor, a very bad actor like Israel, could have had a hand in this to weaken the ICC, weaken Karim Khan, and discredit any possible arrest warrants issued by the ICC. Now, Josh, what are your thoughts on this? Is my speculation too conspiratorial? What do you think it means for the ICC, Karim Khan, and the possible arrest warrant?
I think it's fair to raise these questions. I'm glad that you pulled back at the end saying that We shouldn't downplay the severity of the allegations, and we shouldn't say write it all off as simply a conspiracy, because we really don't know at this point. Although what we do know is very suggestive. Let's put it that way. Um, you could say that it's, even if there isn't a conspiracy, which I'm a skeptic when it comes to this kind of talk, frankly. Even if there isn't, it's obvious that the pro-Israel right is exploiting the situation. It's obvious that certain political actors like Musk are happy to exploit this and highlight this on Twitter, now X, unfortunately. And it's very clear who is benefiting from this. So you can talk about this in a non-conspiratorial way, I think. This doesn't have to be the monopoly of conspiracist cranks. I'm always trying to be scientific and skeptical in these situations, because again, we've had past stories like this, right? I mean, the one that comes to mind, a much more extreme case, would be Julian Assange,
Mm-hmm.
with allegations raised in Sweden. He claimed at the time it was a ruse to get him to Sweden to then extradite him to the US. Many people at the time, many liberals, claimed that that was nonsense and he was just trying to avoid rape allegations. Of
Mm.
course, he then ended up stuck in the embassy for, what, a decade or so. And then it turned out that the US was after him all along.
Yeah,
So.
and I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so even if, let's assume the allegations are true, for sake of argument, it's still the case that this suits Netanyahu's government extremely well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely does. I think as well, like in terms of conspiracy, I don't like to engage in actual conspiracy because I think that's too much of a problem. Especially, it's not obviously just exclusive to the right, but it's pretty prominent on the right now. Conspiracy requires a level of faith where you can take some evidence, some circumstances, and put that all together, not find actual proof, but then jump using faith to the conclusion, right? And obviously, that is a bit of what this story is about. Like, obviously, because we know the Guardian did reveal, working with other multiple media outlets as well, that the ICC have been hacking, they have been spying. Even one of the claims in that investigation originally, because we covered that investigation just a few weeks ago, was that they actually met up with the former ICC prosecutor. It was the former head of Mossad, I cannot remember his name, and actually showed her transcripts of phone calls of her husband, and use that to allegedly threaten her. We'll use the word allegedly because it is a Guardian report based on an investigation of sources. So I think it is easy to make that jump. But I think that's the difference as well. It's that caveat that we need to be mindful that all of these things could be true. There could be no conspiracy, and it could just be convenient for everyone. This could be convenient for Israel. This could be convenient for other people as well, like Russia. There are multiple countries and multiple leaders that Karim Khan is currently going after. And this could maybe, who knows, build up to a point where he simply has to resign. He's only 3 years into his term. He's got another 7 left. It's a 10-year term. And also, as well, this I didn't actually mention this earlier, as it is a part of the story. It was revealed just a few hours ago that an ICC judge has been replaced due to medical issues. So, on top of Karim Khan being accused of this, which could potentially interrupt and disrupt the arrest warrants against Israel, we now have another judge who is leaving the bench and being replaced, which is also then going to further delay the arrest warrants. But I'm just curious, though, do you think if these allegations build up enough, it could potentially discredit him as a person because he's simply being accused by the Wall Street Journal, by Israeli media, of creating a smokescreen to hide his own allegations with these arrest warrants by going after Israel? What do you think of that?
I think if there's a groundswell of allegations and different things coming out, it could hurt him massively. It could destroy his reputation in his career, yes. And that could ultimately lead to his resignation. Will it completely derail the proceedings for the Israeli case? Temporarily, I think that's possible, but it's not going away.
Mm.
And even if this is something that has been quote unquote instigated or say has been brought forward for opportunistic reasons, to say derail the case. It's not going to go away because the charges are so serious, and ultimately the war in Gaza isn't going away.
Mm,
So it would be a temporary victory if that's what's going on, but not a long term
yeah.
one.
I will be curious to see like how long this actually now takes with all these added delays on top of the court to finally issue an arrest warrant. Um, it is obviously concerning because issuing that arrest warrant, if they are deemed to be valid and there is enough evidence to issue those arrest warrants, which could halt, Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Yoav Gallant in their, in their genocidal tirade that they're going on right now. I am just upset that again there is another delay, another stump in the road on this journey that we've been waiting so long for. Because what I know from the history of the ICC is that those arrest warrants would have come out by now if it was any other case, and there's just been delay after delay after delay. And every day we're going by now, and more people are dying. We have obviously the absolute carnage right now that's going on in northern Gaza. We have what's going on in Lebanon, and I can only imagine that the only thing that could potentially, at this point, make Israel pause is those arrest warrants. And now there's another delay. And now there's a level of discreditation towards the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan, and I just don't know where this is going. I'm just curious though, like, if we were to entertain the conspiracy for a second, just out of curiosity, um, if Israel were found to be hacking into the ICC, as the Guardian investigation claims, and these leaks were perhaps done by Israel, would you even expect at this point any actual backlash at all from the international community, or would it just be another slap on the hand and off you go, Israel?
Unfortunately, probably more the latter. I'd expect some temporary outrage. It would probably You'd probably see a lot of headlines about it for a few weeks, maybe. But unfortunately, the so-called international community, as we know, is
Mm,
completely narrowed to certain interests and world powers, right? So most of the world don't count as the international community. The international community is unfortunately the US and its friends. And we know where the US stands on these matters. They
mm,
will criticize Israel here and there, at least this administration will, but ultimately just keep funneling in arms, providing intelligence and logistics, and even providing backup if necessary for all manner of crimes. So it's it looks very doubtful.